Hi, welcome to Leap Taken. This is Mika, and here at Leap Taken, I talk about all things witchy, manifesting, law of attraction, esoteric, and everything else in between. So today, I'm talking about a witchy book review. So I picked this up from Barnes and Noble. Well, I actually walked in the store. Hopefully, you can see that the light. Sorry, I use natural light. I'm not that fancy yet. But it says the tarot for self-care. The tarot for self-care, manifesting your best self, or your best self. How to use tarot to manifest your best self. So I saw this. This is actually copyrighted October 2019, so it just came out. And I thought the book was really cute. And I don't say that, negatively to say cute, but I think it was actually a really cute book in connecting tarot to self-care. So I'm big on self-care and I'm big on using tarot cards, so this is awesome. They don't recommend any cards. It doesn't come with any cards. That's not what the book is about. But let me just give you a bit of an insight into the chapters on why I think you should get it if you are looking for something like this. Or even if you're not, if you might need it down the road. It's just another way to practice self-care. They also talk about crystals a lot throughout the book, getting types of crystals, and they do talk about spell work also in the book, so there's that. But yeah, it just talks about how to meditate, even if you're someone who is actually diagnosed with ADD and not just saying it. They talk about how to manifest. They talk about how to open your third eye. Again, crystals. There's a whole chapter on crystals, but it's talked about throughout. But what I really kind of dig about this book is they were they were giving examples of self-care activities per tarot card. So there's a bunch of chapters before, a few chapters before, they kind of gives a description. Learn how to meditate, learn how to get in tune, with grounding and all that sort of stuff. It's like basically get yourself ready to go. Then they give a cute story of the major arcana, and they discuss, the fool's journey, and they give this nice story that breaks down the meaning of all the major arcana, and then it goes into something else, with the other cards in the deck as well. But what I really like is this section. Like, for instance, this is death, which, means a lot of different things. But over in this section is self-care activities. So they're giving you the interpretation of the death card. I won't get into that. But the self-card activities for if you, were to pull the death card. So it's something for mind, body, and spirit. So for mind, sort through your wardrobe, donate any unwanted clothing to a shelter. And for body, do you get wellness checkups as often as you should? If you've been putting off an appointment, now's the time to make the call and schedule it. And then for spirit, celestial quartz is a crystal that helps you through major transformations and transitions. Wear celestial quartz on a necklace or carry it in your pocket. So these are the self-care activities that you could do all three, or you could just do one, but there's suggestions if you pull the death card. And it's like that with all of the cards in the tarot deck. Eight of Swords, I'm just gonna pick some random stuff here. So like Eight of Swords, right? Here's the self-care activities right here. There's the interpretation, but based on their interpretation of the Eight of Swords, for mine, listen to a podcast that expresses an opposing viewpoint. You don't have to agree with them. The goal is to understand where they're coming from. Body, get your hands a bit dirty with some volunteer work to bring yourself back to reality. And for spirit, focus on working through anything that's burdening your soul. Talk it over, coffee with a friend, or book a therapy session. So that's Eight of Swords. So it's pretty cool. I kind of I like this style. It feels accessible. It doesn't feel too high or too, I guess, granular, and with all these alternative meanings, although they do talk about reverse meanings also of the cards and how you can use that for shadow work. So I definitely, that alone, if you're trying to figure out how does one do shadow work, I mean, in your past just watching a couple YouTube videos, but you wouldn't incorporate tarot cards, this book goes into that. I like that they talk about that a lot, um, as it relates to reverse cards, and it's nothing negative. It's not about negativity. It's more about how, shadow stuff, how to recognize that part of yourself, that negativity that might be in you, or that hurt, that pain, or whatever, and exposing it, and then doing something about it. So they talk about journaling, which I'm a fan of, as I've mentioned multiple times here. I love to journal because I love notebooks, planners, basically stationery in general. They're like shiny pennies on the street and you have to pick it up. So if I see it, I'm gonna get it. So they have a whole section talking about art journaling with tarot and tarot journaling just in general. So that was exciting. I've read that like it was just brand new information. I carefully read each word. Like, oh, what do they mean? What could they be talking about? They're talking about what I already know, but it's just fun reading about that. And then later in the book, there's a section, chapter 9, Own Your Potential, Embracing Your Personal Power Tarot Card. Personal Power Tarot Card. I don't know why I'm struggling with these words. It's the R sound. Anyway, it's there, and they start the chapter off. Is there a card that you frequently pull? Is there a card that you frequently identify with? You're connected to it intuitively. You always look for that card in your reading. That's your power card. So once you find your power card, display it, like, get an image of it, put it like on your bathroom mirror, put it somewhere where you can see it in your bedroom or something like that. And if you're not having any of those feelings, they talk about asking the cards for your power card. So I thought that was pretty cool. But they give you a physical self-care activity. Move your body to a power card tune. So it's a whole thing here about playing music and having your power card out. And they give you instructions and items you need. It's really cool. But yeah, I think this book is worth picking up. It's not too expensive. It was $17.99. It is hardback. And it's something, it's more of a reference book. You can read this like a novel, obviously, and then just go from start to finish, but you don't have to. And it's something you want to mark up and keep going back to, because if you're using this as they intended, you will be pulling your tarot card, and that's what you'll focus on as far as your self-care activity. Yeah, I recommend it. I think it's a great book. They even talk about banishing creative blocks. I mean, they really cover a lot of like little itty bitty principles as it relates to divination. They talk about alternative besides tarot, using a pendulum, and they also go into the Zodiac Signs and how that relates to a tarot card. So I'll just check here. So I'm an Aries. That's my sun sign. So the Emperor. Aries is a dominant, logical, assertive sign, which means it's perfectly represented by the Emperor tarot card. Reversed, the Emperor can indicate an Aries shadow self, tendency to become unfocused and scattered, and to clash with authority figures. What are you gonna do? Who always wants to be told what to do? I don't. But it's great because it gives a spiritual self-care tip. For me, the Aries, there is strength in being tender-hearted, Aries, with an exclamation mark. You don't need to draw your sword and attend every single battle you're invited to. Connect with your inner softness by regularly meditating with rose quartz and moonstone. You want to know a fun fact? I regularly meditate with rose quartz and moonstone. Those are basically my go-to crystals for everything. I keep a moonstone under my pillow at night and on my altar whenever I start any grounding or anything, because I want to be in a place of love always. And the moonstone is also a peaceful stone for me, crystal to use. So I'll have them both in my hands, in each one of my hands, and that helps me ground myself. So they know what they're talking about a little bit, because this fiery, crazy Aries needs to calm the heck down sometimes. So I use those stones, and I have been using those stones for years. So get the book. Get the book. My lighting is weird, but get the book. I thought this was such a fun book. It's a fun read. It's they're very big. They talk about this throughout the book, in the beginning especially, where they don't get into pronouns even when describing the tarot cards. So it's gender neutral, and that's intentional because they want the book to be inclusive for anyone as far as interpretation, so they can, self-care is open for everybody. So they didn't want to make any, pronoun definitions and all that sort of stuff. So, which I'm fine. So there's a lot of there and they type thing going on, but that's fine by me. So $17.99, Barnes & Noble, just came out this month. At least that's the copyright date. So I would suggest picking it up and looking through it. I enjoyed it, and it'll be something that I'll flip through and use. The self-care part really just drew me in. I was looking for something interesting to read, something new, just something to get my witchy creative juices flowing, and I picked that book up. So I highly recommend it, and thank you for watching. Leap Taken, I'm Mika again, and if you like the video, please like the video, and also if you've enjoyed my content so far, it'd be great if you would subscribe to the channel. Thanks again. Bye.